need to do, and he's not shown the ability to do that.
Okay, I'm going to 2 words on education and see how you respond. Voucher system.
You know you're not going to get an easy answer from me on that.
And I'm also going to tell you ahead of time it's going to be a segue, 2 words, because I'm going somewhere else with it as well.
All right, let me tell you exactly how I feel about it. I think that both sides of the voucher argument exaggerate the impact. I think people that are pro-voucher who believe that it adds competition to our school system are ignoring the fact that we already have competition in our school district. And we compete with private schools every single day. We compete for students every single day. It already exists. It's not going to save our public education system. And people that are anti-vouchers that say it's going to destroy our public education system, they're wrong too. It's not going to destroy the public education system. You will never have enough private schools to educate the kids in Texas or the kids in this country. It's not going to destroy either one. The big rub I have with vouchers is when you start taking money from public schools and you give it to private schools. Because we are stretched too thin for money already. But I will say what I've said 100 times when I was chairman of public education. I don't think vouchers save our public school system. I don't think they destroy our public school system. But on occasion, they may save a kid. If a kid's trapped and has no place to go, as a parent, you have one chance to educate your child. You can't wait 5 years for somebody else. You can't wait 5 years for the lieutenant governor to decide to fund it, or 2 years. You got one chance to educate that child. Now, my job as chairman of public education, your job as a parent, is to make sure that you do the very best you can for that child. And if I can save a child, if that's the only thing it takes to save a child, then I'm for saving that child. Okay? Now, the truth is, we haven't figured out a way to do a voucher system anywhere successfully. People talk about it, but they don't. I've seen, when we rewrote the education code, I thought vouchers was going to hang us up. And I had the governor of this state at the time tell me he didn't care one thing about vouchers. I had the Republican senator on the other side tell me he didn't care one thing about vouchers, just run them over. So I did. And then I saw the governor turn right around and run for president saying we need a voucher system because it got him votes. But then I saw him serve president of the United States, and he never tried to implement a voucher system. So enough with all this. Let's get about talking about how we educate kids. And so what I did was, instead of a voucher system, I gave public school choice. If your child is trapped in a school district where he's not getting the stuff he needs or she needs, you ought to have the ability as a parent and as a taxpayer to take that child, move them into another public school. And so we created as much public school choice as we could. Because I'm about saving kids. I'm not about hurting school districts. I'm not about destroying school districts. I'm about building school districts. And I'm about building education for kids. And so the issue doesn't scare me. I just think people need to just calm down about the issue. It's not the savior that some people think, and it's not the destructive force that other people think.
Okay, now on a Social Security voucher. I'm changing topics. I am changing topics. I realize we're running out of time, and I want to know how you feel about that.
I'm not for the Social Security voucher. There are other ways that we can fund Social Security and we can save Social Security without a voucher. The only answer to the voucher system, people that propose a voucher propose that you be given the money that you contribute to go purchase a policy that would pay you a voucher. But what happens if that company goes under? Or what happens if that company gets into this dispute with you over the claim, how much they owe you? Or what happens if that... First off, no one's been able to tell us that they'll match. Everyone says, oh, the premium will probably be higher. It probably costs you more than your contribution to Social Security to get the same benefits. Almost everyone agrees with that. So what kind of good deal is that? But what if you've paid into the... Say you're 35 years old, and you've gone down that road. You say, I'm for the private voucher system. By God, I can invest my own money. So you do. And you go in that system, and at age 45, you get laid off. And you missed a premium payment. What happens to you then? You got to go hire you a lawyer? What happens to your guarantee? People need to think about this. Understand that when we formed Social Security over 70 years ago, half of our senior citizens were living below poverty. Half of our senior citizens were below poverty. When we created Medicare, over half of our senior citizens had no long-term health care. None. None. The number one expense, if you're over 65, is your health care. I'm watching it with my mother and father-in-law, who both have Alzheimer's. It's devastating. It is absolutely devastating. This idea of a private voucher, where we give you certain money, and then you go hire a private company with no assurance that that company is going to be here someday, no assurance that you have the ability to pay that forever, with no ability to resolve disputes if they deny you claim or coverage or your health care benefit, whether it's Medicare or payment under Social Security, is insane. It is a trick. And there are a lot of young people buying into it. And you need to think through what happens. Let me give you an example in Medicare. My mother and father-in-law, as I said, were both diagnosed with Alzheimer's within 30 days of each other. We're 3 years into this, and it's devastating. It's absolutely devastating to them. It's the most painful thing I've ever watched in my life. I thought for a period I didn't think my wife would ever smile again. It's just devastating for everyone. 60 days into it, he worked 30 years for Texas Eastman, had long-term health care, health insurance, long-term disability. 60 to 9 days into it, he's notified by all three companies, insurance companies, they denied his claim and Mrs. Barton's claim, saying that Alzheimer's is not a chronic disease.
What is the definition of a chronic disease?
Okay, let's get past the ridiculous statement of that. Think about the devastation to two people who can't care for themselves, the monthly cost associated with it, and how many people don't have the ability to go hire a lawyer. I happen to be a lawyer. I was surrounded by a group of lawyers, okay? Think carefully about what's being proposed to you if you're a young person. You have no guarantee that that's going to be there for you. And what shape are we going to be in as a country if we hand out all these vouchers and then for some reason, either through Medicare or Social Security, people can't make the claim? They can't make the payment. Are they going to come back into the system? And how do we afford that system then? You talk about having a bankrupt system. Now you've taken the money out of it and given it to somebody else, but now you're going to take over the responsibility more. These plans are so disingenuous to me, and they're so dangerous to people, and they're so dangerous to our security and our well-being that it's just frightening to me. It's an easy solution. It sounds great. It makes you want to feel good about, oh, well, I've got a solution to this, but I'm just telling you, it's fraught with danger.
I think I know what young people are thinking about. They're thinking about the option to get it or not get it and having that money in their pocket. And they're not going to buy what they need.
But listen. See, that's one of the other lies that gets told. How many headlines have you read that Social Security is bankrupt? Runs out of money.
You can't count them all.
I mean, it's a million times. Okay, here are the facts. Social Security will pay all of its benefits, 100% of its benefits, to 2033. It was 2036, but because of the downturn in the economy during the Bush years, it's impacted our contribution.
We can gain that back.
And we can gain it back. It's because we had low unemployment and we weren't paying into the system.
But what's sucking out of that well is the baby boomers, and that baby boomer is going to...
Oh, wait a minute. So let's talk about the facts of it. In 2033, the system doesn't go bankrupt. In 2033, everyone would still receive 77% of their benefits. Okay? You wouldn't get 100% of your benefits, you get 77% of your benefits. Okay? That's not ever told to people. Everybody thinks, oh, there's a cliff that everybody falls off of. That's not true. Okay? So in many respects, the system's going to change the entitlements if we don't. Okay? I don't think we ought to change the benefits. I don't think we ought to change the benefits, but you look at the structure of Social Security. Did you know, and I'll guarantee you 99% of your listeners out here didn't know this. I didn't know it. But did you know that we cap income levels for taxation on Social Security?
Yes, I knew that.
Okay. $106,000. If you make $106,000, all of you riding those tractors or sitting at home doing it, listen to me. If you make less than $106,000, you pay Social Security on the full amount of your income.
Every dime that you make.
Every dime you pay on it. If you make over $106,000, you don't pay it. You pay up to $106,000 in your income. Anything above that, you don't pay Social Security tax on.
And they raised that cap because I remember working in chemical plants. We used to, around September, November, we would cap out, and then we didn't pay Social Security anymore because we had good wages.
That's right. Now, when that system was formed, we ended up capturing within the Social Security tax 90% of income. Today we're capturing only 80% because incomes have gone up, but that cap hasn't gone up proportionally.
Mm-hmm.
If we raise just to get to the 90% level again, the way the system was originally designed, we add another 10 years of full benefits simply by doing that. And I would argue there's a certain fairness to that.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, the system don't want to raise taxes.
The system was drafted that way. The system was drafted that way. And why should, if you make less than $106,000, you pay 100% of your wages, Social Security on 100% of your wages and not above that? There are things we can do about that. I'm sorry. You're giving me the time.
No. I'm giving everybody else we're 5 minutes out. Go ahead.
I just think that these scare tactics with our young people are unfortunate, and I think that people are jumping at an easy solution, and they're not thinking through. Think through on a voucher system who manages the plan, who determines whether or not your claim is paid, what happens if you don't pay, what happens if you lose your job and you can't pay, what happens to your Social Security, what happens to your Medicare and your health care. You've got to think through those issues because all of us, one thing that the last several years have taught us is that no one's immune. We're all capable of losing our job.
That's a fact.
You guys got any questions you need to ask? Because I want to tell you, we've been talking for nearly 2 hours, and I feel like we've not accomplished what I'd set out to do, and I think that I wanted to run him out of words. It's not happened. There's so much more that I've got questions about, but I don't want to. You guys want to jump in at any point?
Education is pretty much my issue, but this runs across a number of issues, and that's the syndrome that we've had for so long, people voting against their own best interests.
Yeah, I don't know how you break that. It's amazing to me. I watch people, and again, a part of it is this conservative liberal branding. It's cool to be able to call yourself conservative. And you're not paying attention to what they're doing. They're taking away your safety in workplace. They're taking away your individual rights. They're taking away your women's health care rights, and yet people continue to vote that way. And I can't give you a good answer for it.
It almost sounds like people's level of immaturity lasts into their mid-life years now, where they think that nothing could ever happen to them.
I'm still a kid at heart.
I want you to ask.
Where they think nothing could ever happen to them.
I'm going to do something that you'll probably never have happen to you again. I want you to ask me about marriage equality.
I'm asking you about marriage equality.
Because I think it's going to be a huge issue in East Texas. And I want people to understand why I feel the way I do.
All right, you're going to have to say it in 1 minute.
I can't do it.
Well, then why did you ask the question?
I'm sorry.
Go. What we can do is we can record what you have to say about that, and we can add it.
I'll tell you what. I'll find someplace.
Yeah, you just go right ahead.
Answer marriage equality.
First, I have to tell you, I was chaplain of my high school. Okay, I was raised in a Christian home. I became a Christian when I was 6 years old. I was the kid that learned all the Bible school verses. Taught Sunday school until into my 40s. I understand the religious